What up, YouTube? It's your boy KingCobraJFS back at another video. The video response requires beer. Drinking a spiked strawberry steel reserve. So we have this video here. Pancho, all men are trash. He's doing a video response to this dude who's going around interviewing people.
So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Are men trash?
Oh, cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
Woo! That was a close.
Oh my goodness, this chick right here is skinny. She's got small tits and this crazy colored purple hair. I mean, she's fuckable to a point, but the only reason I wouldn't do it is because she's a typical man hater. Ain't that right, Puff?
Y'all, thankfully, I'm only half white, so I guess that means I'm only 50% trash. I'm glad this pink-haired intellect.
I get so sick and tired of hearing about all these man haters on YouTube, and nobody calls them out on the hypocrisy of it. If a man hates women, he's a fucking incel piece of shit who needs to get laid, but if a woman does it, it's because all men are trash. Fuck that double standard.
Genius was able to clear that up for me. Nah, but in all seriousness, imagine thinking like this. Imagine just thinking, if you're a white man, then you have nothing to offer to this world. You are trash, you treat people like shit, just based on the sole fact that you're white and you're a dude. The divide within people nowadays is nuts. We're taking little objective parts about each other and using that as reasons to say that you are an awful human being. And sure, I might look at your pink hair and say you're probably a strange person based off of that. And that's me judging you based off of your features, but I'm not gonna.
And yes, happy Pride Month to all the others out there, you know. That's what you celebrate, that's who you are. As long as you ain't a sicko, I don't care.
Here and say you're trash. That's a way bigger reach. And plus you already proved my point of being a strange person based off of what you just said, so.
What rights do you think that men have that women don't today?
A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can't.
Alright, facts. I'm sure women don't feel safe while walking a street alone, but at least get some pepper spray or at least keep a knife on you or something like that. I know you probably still won't feel safe, but at least you know you have protection and you will be safe.
That being said, that's gotta suck. That's gotta suck for women though. Like women who feel like they don't feel safe when they walk down the street. I will say that as a man, I've never had to worry about walking down the street at night. So yeah, man, I sympathize with women on that.
Feel like it. Also, a thought just came to mind. I wonder if like a really buff woman still feels safe while walking down an empty road. I'm sure if you took some self-defense classes too, or if you're just a strong woman.
Worst comes to worst, kick him in the balls. Am I right, ladies?
You'd probably feel a little bit more safe, but I understand her point for sure. The majority of women do not feel safe, and that's understandable.
Women are probably like underrepresented.
Hold up, pause.
Underrepresented. Oh my god.
What did she just say?
Underrepresented.
You know what? I'm not gonna be the grammar police today. I'll save that for somebody else.
Started off with great intent, but you have people who abuse the system.
A hatred of masculine energy.
It's like anti-men.
Today I'm out here and I'm asking.
Yeah, today's society is very anti-men, and it's disgusting. Like, I'm being blamed for the assholes who treated women like crap in the 50s and what have you.
Is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, it's more relevant now than it ever was.
Yeah, I would say feminism.
Modern day feminism is a joke, in my opinion. It's all about victimizing women, feeling sorry for them, giving them more power than men. And then on top of it, it's okay to bully men now for being straight, white, cisgendered, and male.
I'm still relevant today. You know, we built this country, men, but women at the same time got to supply more men, right? With no women, the world doesn't go round.
If you look at like domestic abuse, for instance, we know that it happens to people of all genders, but it seems to be like disproportionately like affecting women.
Is feminism still relevant in today's society?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. They put up a lot of bullshit. They pull up with sexual harassment. They put up with a whole lot of bullshit that us men just don't have to deal with. Of course it's relevant.
That's because sexual harassment doesn't exist for men. That stereotype for men that all we want is sex, it's a nasty stereotype, and there's so much toxic culture surrounding that. Don't even get me started on that. If a dude is sexually harassed by a woman he doesn't like or find attractive, and he points it out, he gets called a pig, and then he gets told, how is it sexual harassment when all men want is pussy? I'm like, screw that noise.
Throughout history, women have been discriminated against.
It is, but I think it's...
Yes, there is a history of women being discriminated against, and it's bullshit, but that's not my fault. I'm one of the good dudes, you know? Or at least I try to be.
a lot. feminism started out as women's rights, and now it has skewed into something entirely different than what it was.
This guy said it. Feminism started off as a way to help women gain equality to men. And now that, for the most part, women do have equality to men in a Western society. And that's not good enough. It's not good enough, YouTube. Huff some air duster. I'm good on that.
Are we going too far? Did we do this and all the rest of that instead of being angry?
Now it's morphed into something that's more preaching like a superiority over men kind of stance. Like I work with some people who would consider
this chick gets it. Feminism has devolved into a superiority over men. Now that you have the equality to men, now you gotta have more power than them. That's not how equality works, ladies.
Heavy feminists, and they are constantly dogging on men, and they openly say, I hate men.
If you're somebody who just...
Well, man, I agree with you on that, CJ. I was just gonna say amen to that.
I hate men.
If you're somebody who just hates men in general, it's probably because you have a bad experience with a man, or you're just retarded. Either one. But I don't know how people who roll with this type of narrative that they hate the opposite gender don't realize they're just hurt, or they have an open...
This guy said it. Preach it, brother. People who hate the opposite sex just because they've had bad experiences with the opposite gender are just hurt because they can't score. It's what it is.
Open wound that they're not trying to heal. They're not really trying to understand why they hate the opposite gender or figure out a way how to stop hating them. Why? Have you ever asked yourself why you hate that opposite gender? And keep in mind, it's not just with women, it's also with men too. There's women hating men out there. I guess I just pray that, you know, people can understand that they're just hurt and that they realize that not all men are bad and not all women are bad. It is not that complicated.
No, it isn't that complicated. I'll drink to that. Not all women are cunts and not all men are assholes. That's pretty straightforward. I agree 100%. I might have had some really negative experiences with women growing up, and I refuse to let that dictate my opinion of the fairer sex. Because women have it hard too, man.
But, you know, some people don't want to admit that they feel that way, but they'll live life according to that narrative. For example, a girl who just uses a dude to spend on her, or a dude who just uses a girl for sex and only sex. There's no respect being paid to that other person, and it's the cycle.
That's the thing of it, man. When women just use men for money and men just use women for sex, there is no respect. Women can use men for sex and men can use women for money and vice versa. It's disgusting the way the dating culture is in today's society. It's so fucking toxic.
Of somebody who just hates the opposite gender. And to a degree I understand, because when you're hurt it's hard to look at things clearly, but just think of how stupid you look when you're saying stuff like that. I hate all men, or all girls just want money, that you don't want anything else. It's like, y'all both look stupid.
I would say that as long as
amen to that. This guy gets it.
men are alive, feminism is always going to be relevant.
I'm tired of like women and men fighting with each other. You know, like people are telling me, Cobra, you need to get laid. And I'm like, there's more important things than getting laid, my friends. Helping women and men come together as a species, as the human race, and be like, well, as long as you're not a sicko, who gives a shit?
Always going to be relevant.
Why?
Because men.
And there we go. We already got a good example of somebody who's just hurt and doesn't want to figure...
You know, you don't want to have an actual conversation about gender relations and how women and men could like look past their differences to improve the morale quality of everything. It's no, just because men are shit. And I'm like, ugh.
Figure out why. They just want to point the finger.
It's like today we're more polarized than ever before. And if men and women can't get along, it can only hurt society.
That's the fucking truth. I agree with this guy.
Don't see. What rights do men have today that women don't?
Oh, let's go down the list. A woman can still walk a street and not feel protected versus a man can.
I think we all have equality.
That depends on the woman and the man in question, but generally speaking, I agree with that. Women definitely have that disadvantage.
Comes to laws.
Men are able to walk out maybe in whatever they want to wear, or, you know, be able to stand strong.
Bullshit, we can wear whatever we want. This chick's got it twisted. If a man walks around showing off his crotch, he gets called a fucking all kinds of perverted crap. But I get where she's coming from on that. A woman can't wear a low-cut t-shirt without some dude staring at her, and then she tells that man to quit staring, and it's like, well, here's the thing of it. You don't want men to stare, then cover it up. And at the same time, you know, men could be, what's the word? Polite. Men can wear wherever they want. Bullshit.
Through societal pressure.
I feel like women take a lot of
You
precautions.
want to talk about societal pressure. That's hilarious.
Just by being a woman themselves, you know.
Statistically, just...
You want to talk about societal pressure, YouTube. It is what it is. fucking men are still expected to fulfill their male-based gender roles, whereas women are told you can do whatever you want and fuck what men think. So I don't want to hear it.
Going into like a corporate setting, if you look at how women are rated on performance review versus men, the language that's used, you know, assertive versus bossy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, just judging by how this dude is dressed, I can't see him being in a corporate environment that's taken too seriously. So I don't know where he's getting this information. I don't really understand his argument either. I feel like an assertive person is just an assertive person. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman.
Or kind of the dynamic of how individuals are interacting in the workplace. I do think that there are societal norms that place women at a disadvantage.
I think so for instance, for pregnancy, right? There's no law saying employers can't like fire you if you're pregnant. Or like abortion, for instance, like that's a law that like only affects women, right?
And what kind of job are you talking about, man? If you're in a job situation where it's like you get fired for getting pregnant, that's pretty fucked. Like women can't help if they're born with female anatomy that causes them to get pregnant. I'm pretty sure most jobs would give you sick leave if you're working for the right corporation, but I digress.
It's women, right?
But don't you think that's just kind of explained by like biological differences?
But why does that justify making a law anyway that literally discriminates women?
So you just said that there's no laws that say that employers can't fire a woman for being pregnant. Now you're saying there is a law? Which one is it? And most jobs are pretty lenient when it comes to pregnant women as well. You have maternity leaves that let you take 10 to 12 weeks off of work before or after the birth of the child. So I don't really know what she's on about. There's definitely options out there for pregnant women.
I think today that women have certain privileges that men don't have.
Yeah, part of that goes into being able to say certain things that, you know, men would get scolded for.
They can just talk.
That's the fucking truth. This chick's speaking the truth, man. Women can disagree with men without being called a sexist or being attacked. That's just the reality of it. Get mad at me for saying it, but it's the truth.
Completely out of their ass freely. You're not allowed to say nothing back.
Do you think, let's say, like, do men have problems that, let's say, that women don't experience? For example, in statistics, like, men have higher rates of suicide, and, you know, obviously men die more when it comes to, like, wars.
Women can go to war.
Yeah, but how about, like,
Women can go to war.
it's true. Who's overwhelmed?
Women can go to war, and I think a woman should have the right to join the military just as much as her male counterparts. But should she? Before you call me a sexist, hear me out. Women are emotional creatures by nature because estrogen makes you emotional, and women are simply more valued in today's society because you make babies. Men are exposable in today's society. I'm all for women. If women want to join the military, I'm all for it, man. 100%. You have just as much right to serve and protect our country as your male counterparts. Should you, though? And that's a personal choice of yours. I personally think, yes, women should have the right to join the military, but should they? No, because you could be a distraction to the men who are trying to protect their country. And I don't want a woman, okay, if I was in a combat situation, I don't want a woman having an emotional PMS field breakdown because people are shooting at her. If you're in like training or boot camp or whatever, and your drill sergeant's a cute female, you're not going to take her seriously because she's hot and because she's a female if you're a dude. But you're going to respect her because it's the polite thing to do because that is your superior officer and because she is female.
Only going to war and dying in wars.
Men. I'm not going to argue that.
I mean, I feel like the war thing is a little hard to get into just because for the majority, men are going to war. It's not really women going to war.
You know what? Exactly what he said. Because men are tougher when it comes to genetics, upper body strength. Mother Nature blessed men with superiority when it comes to upper body strength. However, that doesn't mean shit. That's generally speaking. But there are women out there who are tougher than men. And I will acknowledge that. There are some boss bitches out there that you do not want to fucking piss off. You know? Like Ronda Rousey. No, thank you. Women UFC fighters are just... I don't care if I'm the tougher sex because I'm a man. It's just a matter of respect, you know? I mean, like, yeah, you know how to fight MMA style and I don't, so I'm not going to fuck with you.
Of course, more men die.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like that's just because it's kind of like the roles that society portrayed.
The roles that society portrayed. Thank you. Another reason why I think women should be allowed to join the military, because I'm all for gender equality, but why they shouldn't is because I feel like some men are going to hold women to a higher priority than their own fellow man when it comes to, oh shit, your platoon's under attack. And plus, I kind of feel like women are a distraction in the military, you know, especially if they're hot. Sue me, it's the nature of the beast.
Forever ago. Men are warriors and men are the ones that are fighting, and then women.
Do you think more women should go?
That harks back to caveman days. Okay, when humans first arrived on the planet, because an alien flew down from space and then poured some like bacteria into the water, which caused that bacteria to grow into a fish. And then they poured some other kind of thing into the water, which caused that fish to like crawl on land. And as soon as that fish crawled on land and turned into a fucking monkey, aliens had sex with the monkey, and that's how we have humans.
Go into war then?
Absolutely not. No woman should ever go into any military.
But wouldn't that be going against equality if you're barring women from going in the military then?
Well, I'm not saying barring, but I'm saying like I feel like as a woman you should know that you're not going to be putting yourself in a healthy situation going into the military.
He's not lying. Like I said, man, if women want to join the military, I'm all for it. I'm all for gender equality here on my channel. Does that mean you should? That's your call, honey. That is your call. Because the military can be very stressful. Although from what I've heard from some of the military YouTubers that I watch, it's a different scene.
No shit, bro. You're risking death. It's not a particularly healthy situation going into the...
Yeah, I mean, you're staring death in the face. That's the only reason why I say, like, if women want to join the military, I say go for it. I'm all about gender equality on my YouTube channel, but you're staring death in the face. And that can be a lot to comprehend for a lot of people. I'm very comfortable with death. I've accepted that I'm going to die someday and that I don't care when it happens or how it happens. I just live my life every day to the best of my abilities.
Military. What is this dude saying, bro? I'm skipping this brainlet.
I think that feminism is also, it's almost an excuse for behavior. Flashing your tits or something like that, you know, behavior.
Oh yeah, and that's totally gonna show the patriarchy. Flashing your tits to be like, fuck the patriarchy. Meanwhile, the patriarchy's going, you got some nice of-age titties. If the patriarchy is dictated by heterosexual cis men, and your way to like stick it to the man is to flash your titties, that's really gonna show them, YouTube. You know, if a man were to march down the street buck naked, protesting rape against men by flashing his dick, nobody would take him seriously. He would be put on the sex offendery list. But women march down the street buck naked, protesting rape against women, and naturally no one's going to say shit because rape in general is a horrible subject.
Behaviors like that, like, but if a guy wanted to pull just...
We talked about this on a previous video response. Society slut shames women for showing off their bodies on purpose so they can show off. That's what it is. If women are being slut shamed for showing off their body, then in a woman's mind, to fight the patriarchy, they got to show off their body to fight the patriarchy. And that's exactly what men want.
Just his balls out, you know, it would be a little less socially accepted for sure.
Yeah, it would be chaos. If a dude flashed his balls nowadays, he'd probably get publicly executed with a guillotine.
May I ask you, like, what are some, like...
Oh, this bitch right here. Oh, God. And we return to the purple-haired, tiny-titted chick. I mean, like, okay, you see this of-age chick and her purple hair. You know, she's wearing a tight t-shirt to show off what little boobage she has. I mean, apart from her tiny tits, she's got a nice figure. You know, I'd totally fuck her regardless. The only reason I don't is because she's a man-hater. And it's just like, ugh, dude, that's what kills me about this bitch right here.
Was a misogyny that you faced?
Oh, let's see. I went through there was one time, I'm a psychology major. We were tasked with...
Of course you're a psychology major. Either a liberal arts degree or a psychology major. Well, can you understand human psychology from my perspective? Probably not.
How many times we got catcalled. I realized every time...
Oh my God. Okay, fuck you. Hear me out, YouTube. Women who say they don't like getting catcalled are full of shit. They don't like being catcalled by dudes they don't find attractive. It's extremely shallow. And it's like, as long as they're not being super creepy about it, take it as a compliment. Be like, yeah, I'm sexy as shit. You know what I'm saying? Men do not have that privilege. If men are being catcalled by fat, ugly chicks who are like 900 pounds overweight, they got no titties, no ass, and an ugly ass fucking face, we're just told to take it as men. Even if she's giving off creepy female Ted Bundy vibes, like super creepy, ex-girlfriend vibes, and she's not our type, and we feel uncomfortable by it. Even if the dude has a wife, as men, we're just told to take it. Suck it up, pussy. All men want is sex. A woman noticed you. Be grateful. Check your male privilege. It's what it is. And if we dare question it, it's because we're shallow pigs who can't handle a strong woman. And I'm like, you see how this society we live in plays out.
During that month, I went to a gas station at nighttime. I got catcalled.
Okay, I'm not going to be the person that says catcalling doesn't exist, but I definitely feel...
And now, you know what kills me about women? Is you hate the catcalling, but when you get old and your looks fade and the catcalling stops, at first it's like a deafening silence that you're like, finally, But then you grow to miss it. You talk to any older woman who back in her prime was getting catcalled by all the dudes. Sure, she'd hate it, but welcome to a society that overly sexualizes women.
Like, some women over-exaggerate what catcalling really is. Like, there's been times where I'm...
Of course, some women will over-exaggerate what catcalling is. Because if it makes them look like a victim and it gets people to feel sorry for them, they'll capitalize off of that.
Walking around my apartment complex and I'll say hi or good morning to a girl and she'll give me a weird look. It's like, I'm not trying to have sex with you. I'm just saying hi. We're two people out in the sun right now. Get off TikTok. It's obviously fucking up your brain. And
that's what fucking the biggest problem with our society is you cannot talk to women without them assuming you're just trying to get pussy. And it's like, maybe I'm just trying to have a polite conversation. I mean, if it leads somewhere spicy and romantic, that's a bonus.
Just be normal. We're in the real world.
I've seen some of my guy friends literally make 30 grand more than some of my girlfriends, and just because they're men.
But let's say that
because they're men, oh my God, I'm so tired of that being the assumption. Like, yes, we do live in a male-dominated society, but that doesn't mean shit. Sometimes the circumstances are what the circumstances are. I don't hear women complaining when men provide for them, but the second when they realize that our society is dominated by men, then they complain. I'm like, you don't get to suck us dry of our resources and expect us to provide for you and then get pissed off because society's dominated by men. It doesn't work like that. You don't get to reap the benefits and then complain about the consequences. That's not how society works.
Does exist? Why wouldn't firms just hire women then?
They have to find probably quotas at this point.
Do you think there's quotas for men?
No, probably.
No, but here's... oh my God, that laugh is so annoying. Okay, hear me out. Most men are willing to work dangerous jobs because this thing called testosterone, it makes men do stupid things. You know, like estrogen, women have to out-bitch each other. And testosterone, men have to out-stupid each other.
Most of what's being said in these interviews aren't really backed by any sort of facts or evidence. It's just how they feel a lot of the time, and I just thought that was worth pointing.
No, that's just it. A lot of the hatred that women have towards men isn't based on facts. It's just based off of their shitty experiences. And the fact of the matter is, women do get treated a certain way, and it's horrible. It's disgusting. You know, just because our society is dominated by men doesn't mean we gotta treat women like shit. You know what I'm saying? As a man, that's how I feel.
However, I did hear though, for every male college grad, there's 2 women college grads. Yeah. And I believe most college students are actually women. So I guess what would you say to that?
I know that women are probably underrepresented in the military or in trade school. So men might find more interest in doing that instead of getting a bachelor's. So that's a whole career path that women really.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If there were for every 1 male graduate from college, there were 2 females who graduate with him. Can us men say that that's sexist and that women are dominating society because more women are choosing to get their college degrees? No, we cannot, because if we tried calling that crap out for what it is, keep in mind this is the same crap that women do. If men dominate in anything a woman tries to do, it's automatically sexist. Not because you can't handle a man being better than you at something for a change. And keep that in mind because men are no different. I see all these men who attack Amaranth because she makes more money on Twitch than all these nerdy gamers who've never squeezed boob in their life. It's what it is. You see Amaranth, that smoking hot redhead on Twitch, making more money than men by showing off her body and shit. And men lose their crap. But behind the scenes, they're jacking off to Amaranth like, oh God, she's so fucking hot. Amaranth. And then when they get done jacking off and playing with themselves to Amaranth, then they go on Twitch and go, this is irrehensible. And I'm like, your male ego is so fragile. And a fragile male ego is not justified, but it is explained by the simple fact of the matter is men in our society are expected to be stronger and more powerful than women. And women are being told the same thing about men. They're being told you have to be stronger and tougher than the boys. And then in the rare circumstance when either side is not tougher than either side, both women and men get a fair amount of crap because, well, you're not tougher than a woman, you f***ing or you're not a real female because you can't beat the boys. And I'm like, could we stop doing this crap and just let people be people? As long as you're not a sicko or an inhuman piece of shit, who cares?
Really aren't being encouraged to do as much.
I mean, I guess, would you say that there's probably different interests in general between the genders?
Now there's like much more of a push to get women to STEM, so there's like more of that. But when I was younger, there wasn't really that going on.
So it does raise the...
Yeah, I guess when women are younger, there wasn't much of a push for representation. But now that women in today's society are having a push to get more representation, I'm all for it.
Does feminism account for the advancements made, or will they have happened regardless? And if so, is feminism more important than ever to preserve progress and also to prevent...
It depends on how you view feminism, I guess.
Or is inequality?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should remain. Originally, it's not a toxic thing. Again, what modern society has morphed it into, especially, things like social media.
Oh my God, yeah, she said it. Social media and what modern day feminism has morphed it into. It's no longer about giving women equality to men. It's about women are victims, men are assholes. Deal with it. And if you don't like what she has to say, or if you critique her in any shape, way, or form, she takes it as an attack, and now you're just a sexist male pig.
Yeah, it has turned it into more of a superiority kind of cloak than it is actually pushing equal rights.
It's also just another
It is. It's a superiority complex. You are absolutely right. I fully agree. We live in a society that likes to pin everyone against each other. Male versus female, black versus white, straight versus gay, cisgender versus trans, non-binary versus binary folks. It's disgusting how our society manipulates people into hating each other, because it's easier to capitalize off of people's hatred and use that to control the system. It's what it is.
Superiority kind of cloak than it is actually pushing equal rights.
It's also just another excuse for women to start hating men, and that doesn't solve anything in a society.
Yeah, and that's the thing of it. When men treat women like crap, it's just an excuse for women to hate men. And then nobody calls it out for what it is, like you female incel cunts, you know what I'm saying? No one calls it out for what it is because now you're slut shaming and you're a sexist. But when men do it, nobody says shit except fuck men, they're all trash. And I'm like, I feel like I'm being persecuted with microaggression because of it. That's just my opinion.
In a society, if anything, it damages it.
Are men trash?
Cis, heterosexual men, especially white men.
Weren't you just talking about equality?
Oh, absolutely. But
oh my God, so this bitch right here with the purple hair and the tiny tits is like, cis, white, heterosexual, straight men are all trash. But hey, it's all about equality with feminism. Fuck you to Pluto and back.
To have that viewpoint because of how much we've been attacked just by that gender.
But you just said that all
by that gender.
Straight men are trash. That's a pretty big generalization, don't you think?
It definitely is. It's not necessarily something I'm gonna saying via statistics. I'm saying via experience.
Alright, so now she's just admitting that her opinion is baseless. What did I say earlier? They have one bad experience with a man and that just becomes their viewpoint.
That's the truth for incels and feminazis. They have bad experiences with the opposite sex and then that just becomes their viewpoint. It's like, fuck off.
For the rest of their lives. She doesn't point the finger at the man, she points the finger at men.
Are men trash?
No, I like my dad. He's not trash, so most men are trash.
I don't think men are trash.
Fuck you. Fuck you to the fucking Pluto and back. Like the dude sits there, hey, do you think all men are trash? No, I love my dad, but most men are trash. It's like, fuck you, bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Trash. Men just have more advantages. But like I said, like I wouldn't want to be on the front lines of like, you know, some army. I don't.
When feminism goes out the window, right?
Yeah, that's it, 100%.
Oh, so you got this woman who's like complaining about all the advantages that men have, but at the same time, she's like, I don't want to be on the front line defending my country. No, not at all. I'm like, okay, this is why men are given the privilege in society.
And so I wanted to ask the same, but the reverse. Are women trash then?
No, I don't think anyone's trash. I like people. I think that there are some people that have had really bad hands, but in general, I would like to think that most people are good.
At the end of the day, good people exist.
I get that. I get what she's saying. I like the way she looks at that, to be honest. She tries to like people and she acknowledges that some people are assholes and some people have just been dealt a bad hand. And because of that experience, it tends to play out the way society plays out as a whole, regardless of who you are as a person.
Bad people exist. It doesn't matter what gender they are. It doesn't change anything. It should have been common sense within our society, but since we're so glued to certain ideas that are online, it starts to morph the way we...
That's the problem with it. This guy said it. Pancho, you said it, man. Because people are glued to these ideas on social media. You know, letting social media and your bad experiences dictate how you feel about situations is extremely toxic, people.
And it starts to blur the lines a little bit and we start putting blame on the wrong things like gender. At the end of the day, what matters is somebody's character. It's not if they're a woman or a man. I believe that that's like the best way to judge somebody, their character or their act. Let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pancho. Thank you. I fully fucking agree. I do not judge people unless you're a sicko, an inhuman piece of shit, or based off your character. That's honestly how I feel about it.
Let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts and y'all can discuss about this if you want. If you guys did make it to the end of the video.
I did make it to the end of the video.
Gazing through the window at the world outside, wondering will mother survive?
Long live Ozzy, motherfucker!
Hoping that mankind will stop abusing her sometime.